Hey, badass business owner. Today I thought I would share the pros and cons that I experienced owning a well-known franchise business. While I no longer own this franchise, I learned quite a bit about the franchisee life during my 5 years. So I thought I'd take my experience and show you 5 pros and 5 cons that I like to share with potential franchise buyers. And if you stick around to the end, I'll answer the big question of, would I even consider owning another franchise? Now, I will not be bashing the company. I actually like them, and they are part of American history. Many of you have been to at least one of them. They have a great brand that has been around for over 80 years. While my experience might not be typical of other franchisees, after talking to quite a few other franchisees, I think they do represent a large majority of folks that take the dip into the franchise world, so this is also about giving you a different perspective. So several years ago, I knew I wanted to start a small business in my local community. I had been in corporate America for over 25, almost 30 years, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. Not knowing what I wanted to do, I took the opportunity to purchase an existing business that happened to also be part of a large national franchise that had been around for many years. I always dreamed of owning an ice cream store, so why not own the most well-known one out there? Yep, a Baskin Robbins. And during the 5 years that I owned the business, I came to develop a love-hate relationship with owning a franchise. My previous 25 years in corporate America, I became really good at understanding the business numbers, but I also came with a solution-oriented mindset that often conflicted with the franchise model, but more on that shortly. While these pros and cons that I'm about to go over aren't the only pros and cons of owning a franchise, they are the big ones that tend to stand out with most people. So with that, let's take a look at the pros of owning a franchise. Now, owning a franchise comes with several perks. There are definitely some pros to owning one. For some of the things I'm about to go over, some franchisees actually take them for granted due to their lack of understanding the costs and challenges they would have if they had to go out and do it all on their own. So here are the 5 things that I think make owning a franchisee a great opportunity. Number 1, national brand awareness and a built-in fan base. Probably the single best thing that you get out of a national brand is the momentum and rabid fans that come with the brand. In my situation, I had grandparents bringing in their grandkids to give them the same happy memories that their grandparents gave them 50 years earlier. I would hear stories of their parents and their grandparents and how they were lifelong visitors to Baskin Robbins. Many would share their favorite flavor, and in some cases, it hadn't even been made in over 20 years. Having folks grow up and pass along a family tradition creates a rabid fan base that is yours to keep if you treat them right and ensure they get what they come for. Even if I couldn't give them that favorite flavor, I could give them the same experience they had when they were younger. They were instant customers and mine to lose. Number 2, a proven business model. Most franchises are born out of a proven business model. They start out as a single location that grew into a healthy company and are eventually spun off into a franchise. Folks buy into the franchise due to seeing the success of the business and the fact that it's already built into the marketplace. Bottom line, the business works. You get to benefit from the original owner's trials and tribulations. You don't have to learn the hard way. You don't have to burn your hand on the stove, as they say. They have done all the heavy lifting to create a business that works. Pro number 3, proven systems and processes. For the vast majority of franchises, the corporate offices have fine-tuned the operating systems to create the processes and systems that work within the business. Their goal is to ensure the customer gets the same experience from business to business. They pride themselves on being turnkey, meaning it's ready to go out the box if you start from scratch. All you have to do is follow the plan. They create systems that are easily duplicatable, and this makes it easy for you, the franchisee, to roll things out quickly within your store. McDonald's is a great example of this. They are great at creating repetitive processes that any teenager can learn. Think about the turnover that they experience, yet you still get the same experience no matter which location you go to, the same food, etc. Now, before a franchise rolls out any programs, they usually will also test them in certain test markets or stores to ensure they dial in the process before releasing them to the other stores. This takes out a big chunk of the headaches for you, the franchisee. Are they perfect? No, but the big issues have already been resolved, and you just get a benefit from the little tweaks that you have to do at your store. Another thing that many franchises do is they bring a new franchisee to a training facility prior to taking over the business to learn the systems in a live store, if you will. I know I spent 4 weeks at what I call Scooper School so that I could learn all of Baskin's systems and processes and why they worked. I got to see the why behind the what. Next one, bulk pricing and cost leveraging. Leverage is crucial for getting the best pricing because a large franchise can pull together 100 to 2,000 locations. They can easily partner with suppliers to get the best bulk pricing. The more a distributor can make at one time, the lower the cost for you, the ultimate franchisee. While at times, as a franchisee, you feel the sting of prices going up on your cost of goods, one can only imagine how painful those increases would have been had you been a small fish in a big pond with zero leverage. I think this is a big pro that many franchisees miss. If you've never purchased goods without big time volume discounts, you don't realize you might be paying 50 to 60% more on your own. I got to spend time and deal with marketing and purchasing in my previous job, and I'm telling you, there are some huge discounts that can be done with large companies like this at the corporate level. I watched and listened to many franchisees complain about these costs, yet few, if ever, looked into the costs that they would be paying if they had to go out and do it on their own. The power of the brand is huge on purchasing. Signage and marketing. Signage can be very pricey, not to mention the talents and skills needed to create advertising that is catchy and meaningful. I remember one of ours that still rings in my ears. Ice cream and cakey cake, ice cream and... Oh, sorry, I digress. Anyways, while some argue that you pay for these items with your advertising budget, this is very true. And in some cases, it is a hefty percentage of the sales that you pay to the franchise for this advertising. But as a small business owner, you would never be able to hire a high-end marketing company to develop the stuff and to test it for you, not to mention the high-quality signs that you are usually given for your location. You may not like it all, but it's usually of good quality and good vetting for the customer. Now with that, let's talk about the cons of owning a franchise. As with any business, there are cons to owning a franchise as well. Some of the pros we covered earlier can also be a con. Likewise, some of the cons can also be pros to other people. It just depends upon what skills you bring to the table and the experience you've had in the past. For my personality type, these cons drove me nuts. So keep in mind as I go through these that you might actually like these and you might put them in your pro column while I have them in my con column. Con number 1, not much out-of-the-box thinking and very limited creativity. Having spent the vast majority of my business career being encouraged to think outside of the box and find ways to create business and new ways to drive sales and profit, I found the heavy structure of a franchise to be frustrating. Now, I understand it's crucial for a franchise to have the sameness location to location to create that national brand. But for me, I really struggled with the limited opportunity to try new things. I tend to be one of those ask for forgiveness type of people versus get permission. So I was often having my hand slapped. While you do have some areas that you can try new things, like local advertising, rearranging the store or bringing in good complementary products is a huge no-no. So if you like to be creative, you will find this aspect very frustrating. Number 2, are you really truly your own boss? This one ties into the first con I mentioned. With a franchise, you are being told what to buy, how to merchandise, what to price things, and how you must sell it. Really, the only thing you get to do is to pick your own team and be involved in your community in the different ways that you can. But your ability to say no isn't always possible. I especially found frustrating the equipment purchases. For those of you that have been following the channel know that I'm a big proponent of you knowing your business numbers. And there were times when I didn't believe there would be a return on the investment of something they wanted us to purchase. And usually I was right. There were some I agreed with, like a new register system, but I would have planned it out differently versus doing it the way that they rolled it out. Many times they would require you to purchase things within a very short window, and it could cripple you or go against your debt-free philosophy. The only debt I had in my business came from these last-minute equipment purchases that I didn't always have the money to do. So I was left with no choice but to purchase them and not enough time to plan ahead. One piece of equipment was $7,000, and I doubt all these years later that very few people have even had a return on that investment yet. Number 3, advertising on a larger scale versus local. Earlier I mentioned one of the pros was the advertising that comes with the national brand. While this is a pro, there's also a con side to it. The majority of the advertising goes into the larger markets and not so much into your local community. And I totally get it because they need to get the biggest bang for their bucks. They target those larger populations. For example, I was on the outskirts of a large metropolitan city. Very little of this advertising ever made it into my local community. So while I paid the same percentage into advertising as everybody else, I got the least impact from it. So I often ended up having to spend above and beyond my advertising budget to ensure that I had a strong local presence. This can add up quickly and impact the bottom line as you are paying twice as much for your advertising. Plus, it's a double-edged sword. I needed that national advertising to get the pro of the nationality that comes with a recognized product. It also killed me as a small business in a smaller town to have to increase my advertising budget to offset this. Number 4, limited pricing adjustments. The franchise will have a suggested price structure. While there is some limited wiggle room to raise or lower your prices due to your location, there are many times that you are stuck doing national campaigns that just don't make sense. And depending upon your situation, you might even say they are just plain stupid. While I grasp the concept of lost leaders and doing things just to get folks into the door, there are times that no one has done the math. I remember one in particular that just drove me up a wall. We had a special that many companies try and run. You know the type, buy one, get one free, buy two, get one free, or maybe you get a discount with the more you purchase. We had one that ended up giving away 50% more product for only a 16-cent profit. Who in their right mind would give their customers 50% more product for only 16 cents? Think about it. You are decreasing your customer frequency by giving them more products so they come in less often, and you did it all for 16 cents. And to make matters worse, this was a 12-month giveaway. In no universe is it smart to cut your customer rate in half for a whopping 16 cents. My goal was always to get them to come in more often, not half as often. It goes against the principle of increasing your customer frequency. And as you can tell, it caused me a lot of frustration, and I might still be holding a grudge over it. Cost to your bottom line, royalty costs and payments. Most franchises require you to make royalty payments, or sometimes you do them up front and sometimes you do them monthly. Now, this one is about giving up part of your profits. And actually, part of that doesn't bother me because, like I said, all of the pros that you get for it. But at the end of the day, it needs to bring me more business and more profits. Because if it doesn't do that, then those payments just become an anchor to your business. Each business is different, but many franchisees, you'll pay about $25,000 for a 10-year contract, or maybe you'll give them 5 to 10% of your profits monthly for their right to use their brand. So let's say you do $1 million a year. Then you were giving away as much as $100,000 off the top to the franchise. So before your expenses and operating costs, you're already only at 90 cents on the dollar. If this brand is so popular that you would never be able to start a similar business making the same sales and profits, then this cost might be a great investment. But if it doesn't, you might want to step back and run the numbers. This number will severely impact your cost of goods. Now keep in mind, these fees will cover quite a bit: brand recognition, reduced costs of goods, advertising, all the pros that we have been talking about. But for some types of businesses, unless they are major players in the market, you could probably create the same sales doing it on your own. I'm not saying this cost is always bad. Just do your homework and make sure that you're getting the bang for your buck for what you pay. So the question becomes, would I own another franchise? While I don't regret the learning experience, I would probably pass on owning another franchise unless the upside was worth it. I'm the type of person that loves control, and while the perks of a franchise are great for many folks, for me personally, the business person inside of me wants to create and take chances. A franchise is great for those that like to run their business but have someone else put the processes in place and drive the business for them. This didn't work for me since I wanted this control, but you might not like this part of the business, so having that turnkey readiness might be perfect for you. I saw some franchisees that thrived in this environment. We each have different strengths and weaknesses, so you never know what parts of a franchise will feel right for you. You must look inward and ask yourself, which camp do you belong to? Do you want the autonomy to tweak and take chances, or do you want to follow the status quo and trust the brand's proven method? Both are right depending upon your goals and objectives. The key is to know your true self and what makes you happy and excited. There are no right answers. Be true to who you are and what your style is. Now, there is another big reason why I won't own a franchise. The franchise model is really designed for folks that want multiple locations. That is how you make the big bucks, as they say. But for me, I've done all the running around to different locations during my corporate America days. I used to have hundreds of stores underneath my belt, and I used to have to travel from market to market. And I have zero desire to do that again. So I prefer to take one business location and just blow it up. And that is just a personal decision due to my past experiences. So how about you? I know some of you have a franchise or you're thinking about getting one. So I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share with others. Owning a franchise definitely has its pros and cons, and it might be the right thing for you. Then again, it might not.